celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Hey, welcome everybody. Zach.
Hey, evening, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good. You get a new mic or something?
Not at all. I'm just, I guess a little bit trepidatious of Podbean's new guidelines, so I was making sure that the mic itself wasn't affected. Who knows what'll happen?
Nope. You know what, Zach? And this is the reason why we chose to do it this way. You and I had discussed this. Podbean's forcing a change upon us if we stay with Podbean. And I'm not, we don't know what it's going to mean to us. But we're going to go away from live casts, which is what we're doing currently, where you and I read the poetry and stuff live, and folks can listen in, drop in, join the show, whatever, comment on the board and all that. But I'm not sure exactly what the changes are going to be because, like we discussed, these are all going to be pre-recorded now. So there won't be an ability for people necessarily to call in without an invite. It'll all have to be planned and scheduled. And none of the changes are really bad. We just don't know exactly what they are. So we have to figure this out. And we took our first misstep today, didn't we, Zach?
That's right.
I had a podcast episode scheduled to be recorded, and neither you or I could get there for one reason or another. So we switched to the old standby, which we can still do right now, and that is to go to a live cast, which we know how to do. Here we are. It's new, but it's the old, just the same. But we'll figure it out. So I'll spend some time on it over the next couple of weeks and go back and forth and see what works for us and what doesn't in that respect, and we'll get it figured out. You doing all right, Zach? Did you enjoy the week off last week?
I did, yes. I had a good Easter. Not much happened, but it was just relaxing. Just peaceful, Yeah.
It was nice weather and all that around here for Easter. We've had some really nice days, and it was kind of nice to take the time off and everybody kind of breathe deep and come back ready to go.
That's right. spring, ready for some more like poetry. Poetry renewal. I think like poetry has a lot to do with spring in general. So
Spring's definitely the right time to feel inspired.
yes,
Which, some of the goings on. Let's get to some of the goings on in the group. One of our members, Equine Ann, suggested maybe we compile a birthday list. So we started doing that. And of the 38 current members, I think we've got 22 or 23 responses. 23 responses so quick.
majority.
We're compiling birthday lists and stuff like that. So we can kind of continue to grow together as a group and celebrate each other in so many different ways. It's really good. It's very, I know people use the word disheartening all the time for negative things, but it's very heartening.
Heartening. I was thinking the same word.
a group act this way. It's nice to see, because you get so many personalities. Everybody has to kind of be on the same page, and I feel like we're building something really good, Zach. And it felt that way from the beginning.
Yes.
It really did. It felt that way from the beginning. So I appreciate all you guys and all your lovely contributions. The poetry that we get to read, that we have the honor to read, that you share with us, and all of that, which brings us to what we're doing to start this show, Zach. We're going to start this show by announcing our newest poet of the month.
All right.
Newest poet of the month is Pac-Man.
Congrats.
Pac-Man's been around with us from the beginning. Yes, congratulations to Pac-Man. And what we learned from the birthday list is he may be our most senior member.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, he may be our most senior member. And I think his writing reflects how much wisdom he has collected, because I've always been a fan of his writing, and I see what direction it comes from, and knowing how much time he's spent on this planet makes me understand a little better what perspective he writes from.
Valuable pieces. I think many of them are real life perspective, not fictional.
Sure are.
Many of them are nonfiction.
Sure are. Now, as you know, Zach and I cold read all these pieces. Okay, so unless it's mine or Zach's, we have neither one read any of these pieces. And Pac-Man, what he submitted, he told me was a longer piece, and I know you're a big fan of longer pieces anyway, Zach. I am too, but getting in the rhythm of the read and stuff like that, it takes a certain mindset. You have to be prepared for it, because the points are made in so many different ways. So I look forward to it. And on top of that, Pac-Man told me it was an Easter themed piece. So that's an awesome way to relive and re-celebrate the Easter holiday that we took off last weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
So unless you have more ado, Zach, without further ado, I think I'm going to read Pac-Man's biography, and we'll get into some poetry.
Oh, sounds good to me, man.
Okay, this is the bio that Pac-Man sent. That is in his own words, his poetic journey. As a toddler, the family lived in Brooklyn, New York, but soon moved to Queens, New York. I've lived in New York all my life outside of a stint in the Air Force. A good friend of mine was killed in an auto accident, and it struck me hard. I wanted to write some sort of tribute to him, since we grew up in the same neighborhood and went to high school together. After he came to me in a dream, I decided it should be a poem. That's what led me to believe I possessed a modicum of talent and began my journey. Awesome, Pac-Man. Awesome.
I like that.
Yeah, I did too. I liked it too when I read it, because it's honest, just like his poetry, isn't it?
Right.
Honest and
there's
real
a
world.
spiritual connection to like the poetry too,
Mhm.
not just like it feels like it's grounded. It has an origin.
It's the good thing about these little limited bios that everybody sends with their poet of the month when they're announced as poet of the month. The beautiful thing is it gives us a little bit of perspective on who these poets are, because we're all here for the same reason. We're looking for something. whether we're looking for answers to our own questions or whether we're just looking to share the answers we know that we found from finding them from our own questions. Some sort of, the words, what is it? Cathartic? Yes.
Catharsis, right. Or
catharsis, right.
Catharsis, right.
You're looking for catharsis, correct. And we all are to one extent or another, because I'll tell you one thing I know at 52 years old, you don't get through the world without your bumps and bruises and scrapes and scars. You just don't. And it's kind of nice to have a group to share that with. And I think that's what Pac-Man was saying there. And it's a lovely sentiment and a great bio. So, Zach, are you ready to get started?
Absolutely. This is Pac-Man's piece, and this is called Via Crucis. In the old city of Jerusalem stands the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It marks the site of the crucifixion of Jesus, you may concur. The feast we know as Easter celebrates his rising from the grave. He died for the sins of all mankind. This was the sacrifice he gave. To the high priests of the city, Jesus' teachings conveyed religious opposition. This was viewed as a threat to their esteemed authority, pride, and position. They could not give credence to his philosophy, nor the miracles he would perform. Better to label him an outcast than allow the populace their ideas to transform. If the soldiers would arrest him, they needed to know where he would be. 30 pieces of silver and a kiss from Judas would provide the necessary key. He and his disciples were then approached by the militia of their day. The high priests watched as the Roman soldiers arrested and took him away. Jesus was then brought before the Sanhedrin, or the Sanhedrin, a religious council of old. The charges would be laid out for him. They were serious, he was told. His claim to be the Son of God was blasphemous and seditious at the time. They would take him before the governor for a punishment to fit the crime. He was accused of challenging Roman authority by claiming to be a king, claims they could not permit to their own traditions they would claim. He was brought before Governor Pilate to secure his execution. The high priests were pleased that he would not stand allocution. Who is this pathetic being? Pilate would yield to the whims of the crowd. Assailing Roman authority was something that could not be allowed. Where then is your kingdom? If you were a king, these accusations have been hurled. In order to placate his tormentor, Jesus replied, "My kingdom is not of this world." Station 1, the condemnation. Pilate could find no fault in Christ. He would wash his hands of the matter. But if the Judean mob fell to riot, Tiberius would have his head on a platter. So the sentence was passed to appease the priests. Their traditions would be permitted. It was the custom to then pardon someone, whomever the crowd chose to be acquitted. Pilate chose the thief Barabbas. He felt confident that Christ would be spared, but the priests had multitudes within the crowd to make certain their opinion was shared. The governor then ordered Barabbas released. He would not thwart the wishes of the throng. He prided his efficiency in the proceedings for which he had no desire to prolong. Station 2, the crucifix. Jesus was remanded to confinement where he was flogged for his crime. The Romans had no concern for his health, this close to his end of time. And now he was forced to carry the cross upon which he would die. If he faltered or stumbled along the way, it was the whip they would apply. A 5-mile journey from Judea came to an end at Calvary Mount. This was the place of his destiny, and a burden no mortal could surmount. His words in the garden came back to him. "Father, remove me from this cup." He thought of his apostles and wondered, would they ever gather to sup? Station 3. Jesus falls the first time. When Jesus fell the first time, the soldier's whip was again applied. The guard's captain soon realized what would happen if along the way he died. He stayed his soldier's whipping hand. When once again he tried, he feared for his rank and salary if the spectacle should be denied. Station 4. Jesus meets his mother. Not long into his journey, he would meet his mother along the way. The horror and tragedy she would encounter was more than she could convey. His words came back to her when he was young. I must be of my father's affair. The source of her agony for so many years was that God the Father was thus aware. Station 5. The Assist. His burden was no light weight. Olive wood might weigh 120 if it weighed a pound. Simon of Cryene was chosen to assist. The crowd's cheering continued to resound. Like all spectators, they wanted to see this all the way through to the end. The crucifixion's indelible mark upon history they had no way to comprehend. Station 6, St. Veronica. It was obvious he was growing weaker, his demeanor weary and frail. A woman had stepped forward to wipe his face and was gifted with Veronica's veil. It was a happenstance meeting. There was little she could say. Jesus miraculously imprinted his countenance upon a cloth she had thrust his way. Station 7, Jesus falls again. When Jesus falls a second time, it was not only the weight of the cross. His body was growing ever weaker, primarily due to his blood loss. Here, the Christian is asked to meditate upon his sacrifice for the salvation of humanity, his gift to the world, by way of his death, a religion thus born as Christianity. Station 8, the women of Jerusalem. Jesus said to women weeping, "Weep for yourselves, but not for me." He feared for the destruction of Jerusalem, a vision he could foresee. And so, his vision was accurate, for the city has fallen in history many times, yet it survives to stay along with its sonnets, songs, and rhymes. Station 9, Jesus falls the third time. It's not generally accepted in canon that Jesus falls again. However, after 5 miles of misery, a man would be forgiven now and then. Suffice it to say, his suffering and misery would soon reach a culmination. Many in the crowd that watched him pass would break down and weep without hesitation. Station 10, Jesus is stripped of his garments. In his weakened state, they relieved him of his garments he had worn. Little thought was given to his makeshift crown or the flesh that it had torn. He stared down at the crucifix. It would become the instrument of his demise. Onlookers called for him to perform a miracle, but he only heard his mother's cries. Station 11. Jesus is nailed to the cross. He knew what it was that awaited him as he was laid upon the cross. On a plank of wood above his head, King of the Jews, they would emboss. The first nails went through his hands. The searing pain was more than frightening. The last nail pierced instep bones. The pain tore him as lightning. And punishment meted out by Rome, a criminal might often live for days. A message to those who would transgress is what awaits if you don't change your ways. Through his misery, he lingered for hours. All but his mother and friends withdrew. With his death imminent, he would beseech his Father, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Station 11. Jesus dies on the cross. The skies had suddenly grown darker. His mother felt his time was near. The soldiers below had paused their games, for the wind had grown severe. They took wonder in the moment, for a shaken earth was all that they could see. "It is written," Jesus said before he died, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Station 13. Mary receives the corpse of Jesus. There exists many portrayals of Mary holding her son Jesus after his crucifixion. However, these circumstances are not to be found in any holy canonical depiction. In 1498, the genius of Michelangelo is revealed in his masterpiece, the Pietà. The commission of Cardinal Jean de Belliers he would attack as though a vendetta. Station 14. The interment of the body of Jesus. The preparation of the body of Jesus would thus follow tradition. Washing, anointing, and wrapping of the body were required by definition. Mourning and burial rites were administered by Mary. Then the tomb would be sealed. The celebration of Easter's resurrection provides insight to the story thus revealed. And so is born Catholicism, as related to us by the magisterium of Rome, built on faith and dogma, worshipped in church and practiced at home. Do we then believe that our God is the true God, or do other gods enter the fray? Isn't it more likely there exists only one, and various religions worship him in their own way? End poem.
Oh, good read, Zach. Really good read. That is a very detailed description of a lot of things based in Christianity's Easter celebration. You know, as you read that, Zach, and I was tuned in and I was listening to the words Pac-Man wrote, and you reading them, I was thrown back to the movie that I watched, The Passion of the Christ. When and I remember how that was met, because there, if I'm not mistaken, there was not one word uttered in that movie. If I'm not mistaken, it was completely silent, which was really cool because just the visuals was enough to make you feel and cringe and all of that. That's what I remember. The visual stimulation of that movie, it was like jaw dropping. And I think this poem that Pac-Man wrote is the exact opposite with the same effect. It's nothing but words painting a picture. And he did it very well. I could see, as you were reading, the descriptions of Christ with the cross going through the trail in Jerusalem, and basically being tortured, for the most part, being tortured to death and drawn out for a long time. But then the Christianity, the aspect of the resurrection and all of that. And I did notice in this piece, Zach, I don't know if you noticed while you were reading it, but all the references to him or his or whatever were capitalized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did notice that. And I think that was for a reason. I think that was Pac-Man subtly saying this is his belief too. And that's a wonderful thing. It's not something to hide from people, because our beliefs are our beliefs, and I am very accepting of other people's beliefs and all of that, because their perspective is based on the way they were raised and their culture. And that is a wonderful thing to share. This is kind of a very, very good educational piece. So I did read his author's notes too, Zach, right towards the end, and they're very simple. His author's notes simply said, "A poem for Easter to help conceptualize this aspect of Christianity and perhaps to introduce the construct to those of a different ideology. Not to convert people necessarily, but understanding our own culture through our religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs or whatever, beliefs you have. Understanding somebody's culture is easier to do when you understand those aspects of it." So I really enjoyed this piece, and it was a very long piece. Good read again, Zach. You got through it fantastically. But it was very on point, and a great Easter piece, I felt. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Oh, agreed. Yeah, this was a great Easter piece, and it did feel cinematic. When I was reading it, I was thinking of the Passion of the Christ, but also the Last Temptation of Christ too. I saw that in college, and it was just wowed. But like I really enjoyed like the meter and the rhyme of the piece, especially because it read so easily. It was very measured. I think it was measured in beats, and it read very easily that way. And the rhyme was very it was hard rhyme, but it wasn't forced. And I think it's partially because the words that preceded it were like just easy to read because of the meter. And it kind of seared its way into the head that way. It was hard to forget. And the imagery itself is human. The suffering is human, but it's not glamorized. It's realistic, and it's not glorifying what Christ went through, but emphasizing the human pain and suffering and the resurrection. And it's just it didn't feel like Pac-Man was this easily could have been like a sermon piece, like a preachy piece, but this didn't feel like that to me. This felt like just like a historical intonation of what happened, that a lot of folks know about. But I think that this really crystallizes a lot of what actually transpired in the Bible. So kudos to Pac-Man for this vivid recollection.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Zach. It was very. I mean, conceptually, it really was a visual thing that you said. I'm glad you said the same thing I did. You pictured those images that from movies, and it could have been very preachy. It could have been that way, but it wasn't. It was very, very well handled as an educational piece.
That's right.
Somebody that was completely ignorant to Christianity could read that and say, "Oh, okay, this is one of the foundational beliefs of Christianity." So I understand this. So well done, Pac-Man. And Zach, I'm sure it was a pleasure to read because it was. Meter. You mentioned the meter, and the meter was really nice, and the rhymes were hard at the end of the lines, which gave it this rhythm that was really nice and pleasant because it wasn't hard, abrupt rhymes. Nothing was forced. It sounded good when you were reading it. And the work Pac-Man must have put in on that piece shows in the read. What are we ready to do now, Zach? Something a little less serious, I know.
All right. You know what's coming. That's our piece.
So let me start by premising this, Zach.
Sure.
This piece was something that Zach and I did because it started in a casual conversation. We were reading each other's poetry back when we were in the court of debauchery and all of that. We were reading each other's poetry and commenting on it quite frequently. And I'd written something about my motorcycle, and you'd written something about a lake you used to go to. And then it started, and that's what started this all. So we're doing in the group these collaborations right now. We've started that. So we wanted to share an example. This is the collaboration that Zach and I did. And I would describe it as a very casual riffing type of write because it come together very quickly, didn't it, Zach?
Yeah, it's effortless.
Furious game of word tennis. It's exactly what it was. Now, Zach, if anybody that sees this will see the picture, the handsome devil on the side with the throttle control and all that, and the beard, that's me. And this is Zach's image that he created of this, and I really liked the fact that it's very spacey in the background and it's not road. You did really good with that, Zach. So here we go. This is titled Sidecar, and it is a project Zach and I worked on in collaboration. So here we go, Zach, whenever you're ready.
All right. Zach and Bill. What a thrill. Time for them to rise and shine. Meeting at road's mouth, they start riding down south. First up is 40 Ounces to Freedom by Sublime. Here's a little sidebar. Zach rides on Bill's Harley in a spacious sidecar, cranking metal and wearing tattoos, bumping fists to gnarly riffs. 4 lanes wide open is a cruise.
It's time to go. Let the throttle explode. Accelerate through space and time. You know, Zach, Sublime is just fine, but maybe today we should just try to shuffle. Let the music exude, enhance and change moods with pace, aggression, and timing. Strap up your helmet. This ride will be fun. Look to distant horizons. In the meantime, the exhilaration you feel is freedom, unreal, unrestricted, unapologetically irresistible. Mock the fear as I hammer the next gear. Today we live life on the roads of surreal.
Hellish chrome suits us, Helmet is a nice touch. And, with a roar louder than Lucifer, wind rippling at our backs, with the volume at full blast, we ascend to Europa, just outside of Jupiter, listening to Rosetta's Galilean satellites, like Bill's beloved Pink Floyd, but a bit heavier. When we get there, who knows what we will find, and beyond warping like interstellar overdrive.
To experience the edge, like a bird recently fledged, you had to let go and trust fate. The bike will remain stable, so you and I will be able to ride, to think, to ponder. We hear Sturgill Simpson's voice. It's Jupiter's Ferry, of course. Man, these lyrics are powerful. The pace has become slower from this powerful V-twin motor. The rumblings calmed to whimpers. Up ahead there is light that's solidly lit and bright. It's green. Isn't that fortuitous?
Slowly, through the city streets, night falls as mothers weep, double darkness dashing down. Bill, our happiness isn't gone, like David Berman's Rise Sadness from Beyond. But for now, we ride with pain, looking at lost folk, filling sidewalks, a few strung out with eyes crossed. These nameless people with no home, drifting through streets with no name. Bono, Edge, and the gang. Our ride feels like a solemn vigil. Remember the fallen, the destitute. Bill flashes a peace sign. I follow suit. We grieve. We weep. Rolling by. We salute.
Twilight always comes too soon, as the thunder cannons still boom. We make time as I snap my right wrist. She comes alive again, begging for more. The throttle body responds to being wicked wickedly. Just then we hear something peculiar, sounds that don't fit inside the familiar. My wife's contributed to this otherwise outstanding private playlist. Mariah Carey has a place, but not in this space. Sorry, Zach, I'll go ahead and just skip past it.
You got a laugh out of me, Bill. I'll call that a win. Taking her out on this bike with a spin. We can kayas her goodbye for now with a grin. An encompassing odyssey to the mountain, to the sea. Pouring over the open road sets us both free. Riding faster than any horseman dares, you and me. Flying to Sky Valley like an albatross, by corrosion of conformity. This bird found another to fly at the same speed.
The sun is down and the light is fading. This road trip is over. No sense waiting. That Caius you heard earlier left a void. Now we go into it, like Sabbath before. Oh, I forgot. Cornell covered the same song too. It was Soundgarden, sure, but everybody knew. This ride can't end with those pipes being muted. From the darkness of night comes the light, unrefuted. End poem.
All right.
Hey, Zach, I'm glad that read the way it did. That was fun.
Oh, that was fun. Oh man, that was that
So-
exceeded what I was thinking about what it was going to be like.
Yeah, I think we did very well, and that's what a collaboration is supposed to be. There was give take, give take, give take, give take, and it was riffing, and it was very joyous. So I'm going to go ahead and read the author's notes that we got put in there. Bill's stanzas 2 through 7, 13, 15, 16. Zach stanzas 1, 8 through 12, 14. For musical reference, Sublime, 40 Ounces to Freedom, Helmet, Meantime, Rosetta, Europa, Pink Floyd, Interstellar Overdrive, Sturgill Simpson, Jupiter's Ferry, David Berman, All My Happiness Is Gone, U2, Streets with No Name, Mariah Carey, no lyrics quoted, Caius, Odyssey, Corrosion of Conformity, Albatross, Caius, Into the Void, Soundgarden, Into the Void, Chris Cornell, Into the Void, and Black Sabbath, Into the Void. So there was several song references there that are explained. Oh boy, and there is a Suno link there too, Zach, that I did include in those author's notes that I sent to you, and it is the actual this turned into a song on Suno. Our piece turned into a song on Suno. So if you want to give that a crack, it's right there at the bottom. If you want to listen to it after the show, but I think it's self-explanatory, don't you, Zach?
Absolutely.
It was
Yeah.
just fun, wasn't it?
It was just fun. We just, it was born out of our comments and our shared musical taste, and we just kind of really hit it off, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it was so easy to do.
Yeah.
It really was. It was so easy to do. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed doing it. And I think what we're going to do is start any collaborations that we can get in between us and other Parchies that we have done. Maybe we give these folks an idea.
Sure.
For them into it, because some people are afraid of collaborations, but with the right partner, it's a good time.
Absolutely.
And that's all it is. Just a good time. It's fun. It's like you're getting into each other's minds just a little.
Mm-hmm.
So it's neat. We ready to move on to the next thing, Zach?
Oh, yes. That's Garden Delights.
Is there anything else you wanted to add to Sidecar?
Nothing particular. It's just a good time, man. And thanks for doing that in tandem to read. That was fun.
Yeah, that was the way to do it. I felt like, Zach. Yeah. and thank you for putting in those breaks where I knew to start.
Oh, sure thing, man. I needed that too, honestly.
Yeah, it helped.
Yeah, it helped.
Okay, but now we're moving on. What do we got?
All right. That's Garden Delights piece, and that's A Midnight Sea.
A Midnight Sea by Garden Delights. Fantastic. The circular moon imprints across the Americas, her leading edge. A curvaceous moonrise. Softly she peers around corners, depleting herself for the sighted. She reveals fuzzy-edged what the night would conceal. Long, graceful shifts in salty shorelines. Filtered moonlight wobbling beneath the surface on wave-tossed, geometry-defying particles. Here she unveils the story of mermaids, cuttlefish, and all magical creatures of an eventide sea. In poem. That drew an image, didn't it, Zach?
Oh, wow. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the imagery's fantastic. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, that just kind of drew a picture, nocturnal, like seascape, like just the moon kind of floating over the ocean. That's what I got from it, the moon floating over the ocean and revealing what it wants to reveal, which is just the shoreline and the nature of the light itself is very specific. Like it's wobbling, it's beneath the surface, and you kind of see it the way it's like wavering beneath the surface, and you can kind of see that with your mind's eye. And I think it's unique for every person. Might see something different depending on how they know the water. And it's kind of magical that way in the sense that you could like use your imagination and like see those creatures, and it's kind of supernatural that way because you have the mermaids and the magical creatures. So it's very, it has this slight supernatural slant to it. But I like that about it. I like how, also how the moon seems like a character, like a personification of sorts. Like she's curvaceous and, graceful, and, I like the sort of the nuance of the light that she gives off too. I've really enjoyed that the most, I think.
Mm-hmm. I have found myself, Zach, as I've gotten older, embracing the greater nerd within me that's always tried to escape, that appreciates all these things in nature and mathematics and geometry and stuff like that. But this piece really did so much for me in that respect. It really hit on all the important things with describing what Garden Delights described here, and that is the night water in the sea, with light shining on it and stuff like that. So I'm going to read the author's notes real quick because they're very slight. Prompt is the geometry of light. Contest prompt, scallywag. That's simple, and then from there you can take what you want from this. But there's a couple of little points in the short piece that I want to make. I love the buildup with the descriptions of the light and how it works and moves. It felt very kaleidoscopic, refracting and reflecting, and all these things are happening, shimmering and dancing and all that. And the descriptions, the visuals were just beautiful as it read. But then down at the bottom, to wrap this up, I love what was done here, what she done here. Here she unveils the story of mermaids, which are fictional creatures we know, okay? But then grounds it with cuttlefish next, which are real creatures. So mermaids, cuttlefish, and all other magical creatures of an event-tide sea. Cuttlefish are real, and they are kind of magical because they can camouflage, and they're very intelligent and all that stuff. It's neat. I could go into a whole nerd sidebar here just on So that's what really sparked me, and it made me smile. I love this piece. It was fantastic. So, oh gosh. I wonder where we're going next, Zach. We've been religious. We've been out in space, riding a motorcycle, listening to music. And now we're at the bottom of the sea, watching the light and the cuttlefish and the mermaids. I wonder what's next.
All right. Next up, we have Aaron Farrow's piece, and that's Muster Like Custard. I like that title.
I do too. I'm kind of curious where it goes.
A sleepy child.
Okay.
Oh,
sorry, Zach. I was just questioning if it was my read or yours because I've got, I get sidetracked.
It's all good, man. A sleepy child of morning tickles my ribs into a Cheshire smile. Its purple and pink sunrise summoning me for a dance. I grin again, its worry shed like teenage clothes. It's a new day full of hope, and I'm ready to go. My tight pockets loosen, as if the shipmen are tending the ship's ropes to be free sails. I'm ready as 10-minute cookies. Chocolate chip to be exact. Brown butter flavor to ease the trouble at hand. Cocoa to add the sweetness of every day's bite. I'll sit and listen to the birds as Lily of the Valley traces my eyes with lapping licks. I'll muster like custard to defy this link. I'll build new ones with honor, as though I'm a city on the brink of exploding with people searching for a new brink. Forward, as though drive is stuck. I'll sign this hope in cursive in the leaves, trees, and poem.
That was very sweet. It really was. It's describing the feelings of the morning and all of that from her, and the excitement of the day. It being described as I'm as ready as 10-minute cookies. So my guess is somebody put themselves together in a real hurry because they were a little rough getting out of bed that morning. Is what my guess was. And it's kind of fun because, I'll put this, I'm a morning person. So I'm on day shift now, and it didn't take me long to where my wife hates me in the morning again because I wake up out of bed, bing, and she's laughing at me right now in the living room because that's something that is absolutely true. So I'm a morning person by nature, and I feel like what Erin's saying here in this piece is she's not necessarily a morning person immediately, but she gets to that point once she gets in her routine, and there's joy because this poem gets more joyous, I think, as you read through it, and it has this sweetness to it, and I really like hearing it. We both giggled, Zach, at Muster Like Custard. Okay, muster is standing at attention in the morning, military term. Muster, get together and get going for the day. But custard. Could you imagine custard wobbling around and flopping and being all discombobulated and all that? So that's kind of what I thought of whenever, and the poem fell in line. So the title really helped steer me that direction. But I'm grinning from ear to ear. So it was definitely fun. What do you got on it, Zach?
Yeah, there was like a readiness, a readiness to this piece, like being galvanized in a sense, not by caffeine. Uh, uh, it's kind of like a little bit more natural than that, a little bit more wholesome because it's by a child. The child is getting up the speaker, and when a child does that, when a child gets up a parent, that's a very singular, unique kind of interaction. They do it a certain way. It's just very sweet, and I think in this way that's definitely the case. There's laughter and smiles, and I think the speaker is a little bit reluctant at first, but it gets more joyous, as Bill said, and I just like how by the end of it, there's like a sort of like almost like a defiance to sort of like rise and sort of greet the day with this sort of like this spirit, really, and of the sense of like propulsion and kind of like moving forward, and like hope and positivity, really, too, as much as positivity. That word kind of irks me sometimes, but anyway, I still like the piece. It just it had a very I like the way it built. I like the slight rhyming. I like how specific some of the imagery was, like the chocolate chips and the brown butter. I mean, a lot of it has like a bit of a baking motif that I really appreciated too. Yeah, this was cool.
Just enough detail too to really draw you in. So it was fantastic. I really liked it. What you said, Zach, I agree with 100%. It had a building wonderfulness to it. It really did. Well done. Let's see. What do we got next, Zach?
All right. Next up, we have Alice McCobb's piece, and that's your read.
Bloods in a Rhythm by Alice McCobb. When the dark stands still, my blood's in a rhythm, sires light and life. What say you, fey creature? Will you sup on heavens divine, whilst mortal men make merry with the damned? I'm sorry. Let me try that. I'll go over that one again. Will you sup on heavens divine, whilst mortal men make merry with the damned? What say you, fey creature? What say you? Midnight's children await the eternal answer. End poem. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I like this piece. This was there was like there wasn't a disquiet to it. There was not like there was a darkness to it, but there was like a peace. It was peaceful, I thought. Like a moment where things paused and realities kind of paused, and like I think the speaker there's like a moment where the speaker is asking I think the speaker is essentially not confronting but speaking to an immortal being, and the speaker themselves is a magical creature who is able to have the choice of basically, I guess, being with going to heaven or going to hell, in a sense, something with the damned or the heavens divine. So I think that whomever the speaker is talking to is being offered a choice, and it's in the dark of night too, and there's like a sense of just the tension is being drawn to a tightrope, and everything is like hinging on this one moment. This question is waiting to be answered, but it never gets to be answered. And I kind of like that. It's the eternal. There's an eternal sort of like it could go either way. You're not certain about how it'll end, but either way, I think there's like a neutrality to it almost. But it's just it's kind of like magical in the sense that there's like a curiosity to it from this other being, like this immortal being is giving this magical creature a choice, and Midnight's children are just waiting, and I just like how there's like this suspense there. And it's sort of doesn't it sort of just comes to that conclusion, and we just don't know. We're kind of left wondering sort of how it'll be answered, and I sort of like that open-endedness.
Yeah, well said, Zach. So I'll tell you, that first stanza was really heavy to me.
Yeah.
When the dark stands still, my blood's inner rhythm sires light and life. And that is a very eloquent way of saying, when all the craziness, when all the chaos of the world, whatever specific things it is, that cause this darkness to settle in, when it stands still, when the darkness stands still, the author is happy, and there's light and there's positivity and things like that. What say you, fey creature? Just like you said, it's an inner, not conflict, inner conversation, where there's the struggle of the light versus the dark. And that's one of my favorite things. I'll say it again, is the struggle and contrast between light and dark. So there's this struggle between light and dark and trying to find the light. And in the end, to wrap it up, midnight's children await the eternal answer. So the darkness is there, just waiting to come out. So, I mean, it's really neat in that way because it travels kind of full circle in that. And I appreciated the way it's not a long piece, but it sure gets to the point real quick, doesn't it? And that's the first read from Alice since she joined our group. This is her first contribution to the reading list and the podcast, and was happy to read it. Well done, well written.
Yeah. Can I just mention one more thing? I forgot to mention the language in particular. Just it was medieval. I thought that was a nice touch. The "what say you" just reminded me of Tolkien a bit, like just the medieval in a sense. I just like how sort of it didn't sound modern, and I like that.
Absolutely, and it didn't sound contrived either.
No,
like it was trying to be forced to sound like that. It just sounded like that. So well done, very well done indeed. All right, what do we got next, Zach?
All right, next up we have Mike Horsfall's piece, and that's Fells.
Welcome back, Mike Horsfall. We haven't read
Mike.
him in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, he had some things going on. I think he had eye surgery or something. He couldn't, do these things. So it's glad to have him back. And I did say
Mike.
Whenever he posted this, I did welcome him back because it's glad to have him back. Our first, ironically enough, Mike Horsfall, if you remember correctly, was our first Poet of the Month back in November of 25.
All right, this should be interesting. Fells. These fells call. I answer with heavy steps. Paths worn smooth by many lives. Yet the air is unlit, dark still. Cold wets the rock's roughness. Broken stones practice their tripwires. They fling themselves before my steps, as if the ground wants witness, and my knees pay in blood. Wind, she leans in, whispering, "Come, come to me," she says, unowned. Her breath threads through bracken's teeth. I follow, not faith, not map. I stumble, kept by mere motion. No heaven hangs above this ridge. No sun to warm old bones. Only cold, only shadows, only demons. Or names my mind gives darkness. I listen for a door in stone. It's only water ticking. It's only my pulse answering. End poem.
Well, that one didn't toy with light and dark, did it? It went right too dark and stayed there, stayed with the lights out. But it was a very real darkness, a very real struggle. So I'm going to read his author's notes real quick. It's very simple. Life, death, mental health. Mike Horsfall he was one of my favorite newer writers because I hadn't read anything from him until he had joined our group. And then I started reading his stuff and I was like, oh Lord, so heavy, so wonderfully well written. And this is no exception. Again, I'll have to say, welcome back, Mike. Glad to have you back in the group contributing because your poetry reads so well. The thought in this and the descriptors are just spot on to a struggle with darkness. I would label it as depression, maybe not clinical depression, but at least some depression, and all that. And the struggle is real. But those two lines at the end. Well, let's go with 4 lines because I think, or names my mind gives darkness. I listen for a door in stone. It is only water ticking. It is only my pulse answering. So there's silence in this room and he can't find the door out. It's what it sounds like, and all of that. And I'm sure that's a metaphor for, being in the mind, in the darkness, in depression and all that. But this didn't make me feel sad for darkness. It made me feel compassion for the one suffering. And I think that's what this piece was meant to be, to share those feelings to where you can say, oh man, it sucks to be stuck in darkness like that. Hopefully it gets better. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, this is pretty grim. It doesn't really face the way of the light at all. It's a full look in the face of incoming death, and it's sort of like a grim waiting for the end, like water dripping, like you're waiting, like the clock's ticking, and you're aware of it, and that's all you're aware of. And it sounds like torture in a way, and there's just mounting suffering, a mounting sensation of suffering that's like not only physically sort of tormenting with the rocks sort of against the skin and the knees paying in blood. There's blood, but there's also like inner sort of turmoil too, with shadows and demons and names that the mind gives darkness. So it's just bleak. The walls are really closing in on the speaker, and I think that a lot of folks, maybe that are facing the end or who have faced the end for someone else in some way, might find something in this, some kind of catharsis, maybe. I don't know. It's very dark, but I think there's still some wisdom to it. Very enjoyed, even though, yeah, it doesn't get really much lighter at the end.
It sure didn't, did it, Zach? But I felt empathy more than sadness. It didn't make me feel, it didn't make me feel dark. It made me feel empathetic. So it stirred some emotions in me. I took it more of a metaphorical sense than a actual literal. I took it more in a metaphorical sense, but it's so open to interpretation in that respect. I mean, it could be something, like you said, that somebody reads that's going through something and they're like, oh, there's somebody that understands. So that's what I appreciated most about this piece. It's very empathetic and understanding as a reader. So I really enjoyed that. What do we got next, Zach?
All right. Next up, we have Purple Gerbra's piece, and that's your read.
I Pity the Devil by Purple Gerbra. Here we go. I pity the devil for how crowded hell will be someday, because the mortal world is full of souls that heavens will simply cast away. I wonder how he will manage and accommodate his new guests. And if he isn't successful, where will the other souls lie to rest? I pity the devil. I wonder if he'll regret corrupting humanity in the first place when every inch of purgatory runs out of space. I am half expecting it to be the norm now. For heaven seems like a luxury because goodness, that's a rare gem. But oh well, I hope the devil saves a space for me. End poem. All right. I don't know if I should laugh or not, but that last line got me. Go ahead, Zach.
I think it is humorous. I think like the oh well kind of like before it, the prelude kind of like sets it up in a way, and then the punchline kind of, yeah, I hope the devil saves a space for me. That kind of made me like smile for sure. I just the humor of the piece didn't. It just I didn't expect that at the end. It was almost like sympathy for the devil, and it was pity the devil in a way. The speaker is showing sympathy in a sense that the devil has so many guests in hell that heaven must be, scarce for all the souls that all the bad folks that have just been, kind of abundant lately. I guess, so many folks that are just hellbound, I guess, according to the speaker. Just corrupted the corrupted humanity, or so many people have been corrupted that when purgatory runs out of space, it's just like that's kind of an interesting concept. It's just what's going to happen. Like, I know Earth could be overcrowded, but what could happen when like purgatory is overcrowded? Where does the surplus go? Surplus souls, that's kind of a I like that concept. And the speaker is just like immediately just goes, oh, well, I'm going to hell anyway. I it's kind of ironic, and I just kind of like that in a sense. And really, it's funny. I really enjoyed it. I kind of sympathy for the devil in a way. It's just interesting. Like, I pitied the devil too. It reminded me of Mr. T in a weird way, but that's kind of unrelated.
I know. There's so many things. Now I'm going to be watching the A-Team and listening to the Rolling Stones. But this piece, I'm gonna rescue us, Zach, because we're giggling like idiots. It says society, humor,
right?
Society, saved by the author's notes, so we should laugh. Thank you, Purple. You've done very well with this, because Zach and I both did laugh, and I actually struggled after the second line. I pity the devil is the simple start, but then that second line, for how crowded hell will be someday. I was like, that's funny. So I knew where it was going right after that line, and it actually made me giggle a little. I think it's probably caught in the recording here, but it made me giggle a little. But this piece is it's serious and satirical and tongue in cheek and all that.
Oh, totally.
And the way it ended was so fantastic. But oh well, I hope the devil saves a space for me. So my guess is Purple is a young person, I think still in college, all of that. But as a young person, it's already got this pessimistic view that, satirical. This felt like a piece that could have been in Mad Magazine in its heyday.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
That's no
I appreciate that kind of silly wisdom, because there's a wisdom to it, but it's turned in a silly way that makes the wisdom almost sneak up on you. What she's saying is society's not great right now. Now, that can be debated. If you do percentages, is it worse or better? But it's definitely more known what bad is out there. So that's what makes us so pessimistic with our society right now, I think. And I like it. This piece says that, but it also says save a space for me, because I'm the same. So I really did like that. I suppose we'll move on. We'll move on to the next one. God only knows where we're going from here.
Oh, here we go. Guess we'll find out. Next up, we have Dark Night of the Souls piece, and that's Epiphanies on the First Cold Day. November 1986. I put the morning newspaper down. AM fields are frosty. Crystalline blanket of twinkling diamonds from my windowsill. Today the cold came. Bones are stiffer. Coffee is darker, more bitter. Calendar says autumn, but hoarfrost calls out the lie. I walk briskly past Horseshoe Falls, mists and seagull howls of morning. I squat on Table Rock park benches, chill to the flesh through blue jeans. Hum of Niagara in front of me sings, and moans and howls of morning. My hand warms the red delicious in my hulked out winter pocket. As the crinkle of newspaper tells his tale, he had nightmares, prophecies of being stuck up to his turtleneck in muddy river shallows, Niagara rising. The cataracts, once again, a grieving widow, powerless by her own Svengali call. Cold winds carry the lonely lyrics of suicide. If justice exists, they find his body on the warm, warm Ontario shores of June. Another victim, a poet, a me I might have been. I bite through the cold skin of an apple. End poem. Should probably read the author's note.
That's a thinker. I was just thinking that, Zach. If
Yeah.
you care to, go right ahead.
Sure. There's a long story to this poem. As some might know, I'm from Niagara Falls, New York. I was researching a piece about daredevils and others who went over the falls when I ran into this. I was moved by the story of this poet, Robert Billings, who committed suicide walking into the Horseshoe Falls in November 1986, upset over a divorce. His body was found in June 1987. Wow. Yeah.
I used his poem as
it's inspiration.
and inspiration for this. Right. Oh, wow. So that really hammers it home. I think exactly 100%. We needed to read those author's notes to understand the history, the roots of this piece, because it made sense, what was happening there, but to give us the backstory makes it make more sense, even to the point where it cuts so quickly and it's so deep. I mean, it's crazy to me that Dark Knight is taking, I believe, putting himself in the place of this poet, and trying to think like him and all that, which was neat. But getting the inspiration from the poem the poet wrote makes perfect sense. But I feel like there's a mix of what actually happened with Dark Knight of the Soul growing up and finding out about this story and reading it and doing the research as an older person and this, that, and the other. And it's very well expressed. And there's a defined timeline because it states the first thing, November 1986. I put the morning newspaper down. But from there, it's kind of, I think the timeline's less important at that point. But it's really kind of neat how he's talking about this, and he's talking about it as he's reading it, which is really, really kind of an interesting perspective that makes it feel more real, I think. And the author's notes definitely helped in that respect clarify some things about it, but it is such a heavy piece as far as that goes, to that way of committing suicide, not that there's a really great thing because the end game's always the same. You're not alive anymore, but that method of committing suicide has been around for a long, long time. Before man, really recorded it and put it out in newspapers and stuff, because going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, it's an engineering challenge and suicide, potentially. It's just kind of a neat thing that he wrapped up this story in his own perspective and how, he read about it and was, I'm sure, slack-jawed. But then once he got done reading it, what did he do? I bite through the cold skin of an apple. He enjoys his breakfast. He's like, well, I'm having my apple. What are your thoughts on it, Zach? Good read, by the way.
Oh, yeah. This was heavy and intense. This narrative drive that Dark Knight was using. I like the episodic sort of nature of the piece. There was the coffee becoming bitter, not just the coffee, but the speaker. And then the air changing, not just the air, the weather. And the most disquieting to me was the third, when the speaker was mentioning nightmares about being stuck up to his turtleneck in the Niagara Falls, almost if he was the poet who committed suicide was prophesizing his own death. And it's like, it's sad because, it's almost like he foretold it in a way and went along with it, kind of. That's just Yeah, that provokes me a little bit, but sad. Yeah. I just like how the speaker tries his best to really sympathize, maybe even empathize a bit with the passing of the poet, because the speaker is the poet too. So I think, like as Bill said, he was trying to put himself inside his shoes a little bit. Yeah, and I don't think the experience was very comfortable for him.
I don't think so either, Zach. That's right. Well said. That's the feeling I got from it too. But you pointed out that third section of the piece here, and it has my favorite line from the piece in it, because it's honestly it's distracted me for a minute because my mind focused on this. My hand warms the red delicious in my hulked out winter pocket. Now, is that Hogan or Banner? I mean, it's crazy that my mind went there, but I'm like, is he young enough to where, it's Hulk Hogan? Because the timeline, 1986, Hulk Hogan's heyday, but also, is it the Incredible Hulk? That kind of, but that's just neither here nor there, probably to the point of it. But the point was, it took me and made me go into Dark Knight's world. That detail drew me in and drew me in hard. So I appreciated that. And I've said time and time again, Dark Knight rights were relatively close to the same age. So some of the references that he references in his pieces, I understand from his perspective because we share it. And that's really cool. It drew me in. I like that detail a lot. All right, Zach, I guess we're moving on, aren't we?
All right. Next up, we have Mario with three O's piece, and that's your read.
And it's titled Home Alone. I wonder if there'll be shenanigans. Just awake from my... Excuse me. I'll start over. Just awake from my comical snore. Mom rushed, baked breakfast cookies. Dad packed clothes in suitcase for loads. Made tires ready to hit the roads. Scene felt tense as I continued with my snore. Then that day, I woke up with silent floor. Reached for the table for my cookie breakfast. I almost ate the note, having Mom's pins thrust. I still remember it looked like drunk blabber. Morning, son. Eat the cookies and phone. You're about to be there home alone. Make sure you look for that bad cat and feed cereals to my Troy the rat. I'd rather do something bizarre and otherwise. Better not of a note that read like drunk lullabies. I snacked heavy and full on the first day and snored through the next whole clock's play. End poem. There was shenanigans, Zach. appropriately titled Home Alone. Go ahead, Zach. Your thoughts?
As Mario says, something different in the author's note. I think the snoring was my favorite aspect of the piece. Honestly, just awaking from his own snore, kind of says it all for me. Like that. The tone of the piece is really it has a bit of a lackadaisical sort of nature to it. Not quite nonchalant, because he still has responsibilities, and he's like, I'll get to those eventually, but for now he's going to eat his cookies. And I still like how his mom is basically just giving him a note, to take care of a few things. And I just like the rhyming of it too. Make sure you look for that bad cat. It's like, is Troy the rat, my Troy the rat, is that like a pet rat? And I'm thinking that the pet rat is I think the speaker needs to watch out for that cat because of the rat, because they don't get along, to say the least. But yeah, I just like the humor of this piece. There's some humor in some of these pieces tonight, and I appreciated it. I also like snacking heavy on the first full day. that's a good call. And yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I would do too. If the stuff was, if the good stuff was in the cupboard immediately, I would go there first and focus on that for a bit. And yeah, I just kind of I just enjoy the sort of the lackadaisical nature of the piece. Yeah, nice one.
Right. I had in mind, there's a pizza chain. I won't mention the name because I don't know if it's legal for me to or not. Anyway, there's a pizza chain that did these series of commercials, and my wife and I were both kind of dorks, and we cling on to stuff that makes us laugh and then use it later. So this pizza chain had this commercial where a guy bursts in and he's not wearing shirt or shoes or anything like that, and he's after a pizza, and he says, "There's no rules," and I go, "Sir, you're going to have to put your shirt on. There's one rule." So my guess is whatever his mom wrote was the one rule. The one rule. But shenanigans were going to ensue. He could have done anything he wanted, and he decided to do what, Zach? Take a nap again. He decided on a nap. So I feel like as a parent, my kids are near adults. They're very responsible for themselves. And I understand when the wife and I get to escape now, it's like, hey, kids, make sure the dog's taken care of and the cats are taken care of. Feed yourselves. We'll see you in 3 days. Take it easy. That's kind of how it goes, because there's this freedom. And that's what I got from it. I got his parents' perspective, too. They're in a hurry to go do whatever it is they're going to do. She scribbles down a note. Make sure to feed the cat. Don't let the cat get the rats. Take it easy. Here's some cookies.
Here's some cookies. Yeah.
So I really like the cookies smooth over the lonely. Oh, that was well done. Appreciated that, Mario, with 3 O's. Oh, what are we doing now, Zach?
Next up, we have Scarlet Knight's piece, and that's your read.
Steel claws. I hate this. I see the hurt in your eyes, the fear, because of me. Because of me. I don't want to hurt you. I need to make sure you're okay. Fear, mistrust. I feel like a caged animal, lashing out at the only enemy I see. Lashing out. Steel claws that mangle skin like paper. Clawing out. Tears in your eyes. Tears. Fears. I've really messed up this time. I don't want to hurt you. I'm no better than the ones I loved before you even knew me. Steel claws, marred skin. Scarred eyes. What have I done? Why can't I stop? I don't mean harm. I don't want to hurt anyone. So why can't I stop hurting you? If it means I stop hurting me. I hate it. I hate this. I hate me. I'm sorry. End poem. That was a tough one. Very, very emotional. Very. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. This is a painful piece. Both physically and mentally. I felt anguish from the speaker. And massive amounts of guilt and regret, because I could tell that I think the speaker maybe unintentionally hurt someone that was very close. And the reaction is just too much to bear. And the speaker is not only lashing out at this person, I believe, but lashing out against themselves and in a physical way, and can't stop. And it's pretty explicit. There's not really. It's hard to interpret it another way. The self-loathing, anyway. It's sad, and it's just really. Yeah, I hope these feelings are just temporary, and for the speaker, very sad, and I shouldn't. It's just heavy, really heavy, and introspective in a painful way. and apologetic too. And it's a hard one.
Yes, it certainly is, Zach. And I remember this piece because I've commented on it before, and it was something that in the beginning of exchanging with this poet, Scarlet Knight, who also has been a poet of the month. With Scarlet, I picked up on some things from her past, and I inquired, and all of that, and not inquired, but supported. I shouldn't say inquired because that sounds like digging for info or something like that. But anyway, Scarlet, this is before we started this group, and when I first had met Scarlet, and what you're reading here, Zach, was what she was going through at that point in time, and all that stuff, and I can say, she's growing. She is. As far as what I've seen, because some of the poems that she's submitted to us more recently aren't like this, and this is one of the earlier pieces that I read.
Okay.
From her. So there's positive growth here. So this is a look back, and it's uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable, wasn't it, Zach?
Yeah.
And it was meant to be because it's raw and it's honest.
It's confessional.
Yes, very confessional. Some of the things that I appreciate most about this is the raw, confessional, and the seriousness of the subject matter, but the repetition because of me. It hammers home. I think it gives you a break, and then hammers home points and stuff like that. And this is clearly a dark piece. There's no light in it because it's exploring these things that have happened and that are within, and it's a problem. So go ahead, Zach, with your thoughts. And poems like this need to be written too. They do.
Yeah, they do.
They need to be written. So there's no shame in writing a piece like this.
Yeah, no, not at all. I just already said my thoughts. I just it was I'm glad that things have changed for the speaker, and I just like it's sometimes it's necessary to take a look back to move forward.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And don't mistake things, that everything is not light and fluffy in life. Everything is not. There's trauma and drama and darkness and stuff like that. The whole trick is learning how to embrace the whole and not just the pieces you like, and figure out those things. And that's, the journey from being a young human to an older human. Wisdom is accrued along the way, but wisdom can only be bought with the currency of time. I've always said that since I've grown up anyway, and it's the truth. You have to experience so many things before you can draw the wisdom from it. I could tell you 1,000 times not to touch a hot stove, but until you touch that hot stove one time, you won't understand it. Not completely. And that's kind of, the growth that we have in life. And you have to experience that stuff, and come out of it. You have to experience the darkness and come out of it. And then you have a greater appreciation for the light, and vice versa.
Right.
Vice versa. Boy, we sure traveled a big circle this time, didn't we, Zach?
As usual, the range was enormous.
These guys, they never cease to amaze me with how we laugh like idiots, nearly cry, and
that's right.
All that stuff. I mean, this one stopped me, and I've read it before. That's the amazing thing. It's powerful enough on a second read to stop me. So
that's a testament.
And look at what we led off with here, Zach.
Yeah.
We led off with Pac-Man's piece, our new poet of the month. Congratulations again, Pac-Man, and we'll say it. Every piece we read from Pac-Man's always a joy to read, as with all our other poets of the month that we have crowned so far. And this stuff's really going well, Zach. It really is. I mean,
it's number 20, man. This is it's been fun.
yeah. I mean, I remember the beginning, and so do you, I'm sure, when we first started doing this in this group, and we got people together and we started getting positive responses, and we were doing we were doing practice shows to see if you and I could do it and get it done and all that stuff, and we did it. And the beginning of it was smoother than I thought, but now we're into the real meat of it, and we've established an identity as a group, what we like to do, how things are done on this show.
A rhythm, for sure.
It's a very good reflection of the group. And again, we've kind of just gotten past the beginning into the meat of it, into the heart, into the middle. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I hope it doesn't.
Because all of that hope, the way you said
I kind of drug that out, Zach. I had to walk you in a circle. And
you always you gotta butter it up a little bit, man.
Well, you can't leave from an emotional piece to Zach and Bill giggling like idiots to the end of the show. You can't do that. Nope. So I had to get past that emotions before we could make you laugh like an idiot with the exit music. Great show, Zach. Great job. I particularly, I always enjoy all the pieces, but I really did enjoy the way we read Sidecar together.
Oh, same. Awesome.
And I hope that inspires people to collaborate with their friends on All Poetry, because you never know how much fun it's going to be.
Right.
I've never done a bad collaboration. I've never not enjoyed it. So, and it's a lot of fun, and I can't wait till that show comes up. Hopefully we get it together, and then we can start doing that in repetition. Maybe every couple of months or so, just have people contribute collaborations and do a whole collaboration show. It'd be awesome. Anyway, I think that's all we got, Zach. So until next week,
all right,
have a good one, man.
You too.
Enjoy.